Hi, Alex. This is Gore here. I am new to the topic of cryptocurrency and Bitcoins. And so far, what I know is um, Bitcoin is a form of digital currency which can be used to do transactions online. That's first thing I know. And second thing I know about Bitcoins is that they are not trackable in like the traditional currency. So it's not like your typical um, dollar currency or pound currency or your typical banks which store that currency. It's kind of a virtual currency that is difficult to track. And third thing I know is that this currency is used to do transactions um, online in places like dark web. But there is a whole different industry that's um, coming up to regulate this, currency online. But we don't know where we are with that. I guess you may know more. But those are the three things I know. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Alex. Is my understanding correct? And do you have any additional insights? Like, can you give us an overview? And then once you give us an overview, then Kyle will ask his more advanced questions.
Sure. Yeah, I think you're spot on. Bitcoin's definitely evolved in the 10 years that it's been around, and it does get a bad rap because it's used for the Silk Road and dark web.
Yeah.
But you've got to remember that cash is still the number one currency used for cartels and illegal activity. So, of course, people are going to use it and misuse it. Part of it is it's not completely anonymous. You can still track it somewhat, so you still want to be careful with it. I don't really see Bitcoin being something you use to pay for coffee. What's happened with it now is it's become this digital gold. So the way that it's growing, eventually it'll take the place of gold and be this global reserve currency.
Hmm.
And I got into Bitcoin because of the speculation, because I saw everyone making money. And but you have to remember that it's very, very volatile because it's so new. And so if you got in at the beginning of 2017, you might have made a huge sum of money, but if you didn't sell, then it dropped 80%. So that's why my strategy for people new to Bitcoin is don't try to ride the short-term volatility unless you really want to be a trader. Buy up bit by bit over long periods of time, slowly accumulate, and just know that you're gonna want to hold it for 10 plus years.
Okay.
And the other piece too, which is more of the economics behind it, the the state of the economy right now, you see with all these stimulus packages and the federal government printing money, that has an effect on the value of your dollar. That deflates it, that devalues it. And so the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it's got this capped supply, 21 million Bitcoins that'll never change. That's been programmed into the protocol.
Mm.
And that's why people like it so much, is because they saw what happened in 2008 where the banks got bailed out with taxpayer money, and they're seeing it now with the government pushing out these stimulus packages. They're being very, very reckless with your money that you've worked hard for. And Bitcoin is a way to protect yourself and your dollars because of that scarcity and because they can't print more.
Mm.
It's
Uh,
and
so
it's the people are like, it's a way to fight back and take control over your money. And some people say it, just like become your own bank, do that through Bitcoin. And you read about people that lose 7,000 Bitcoins and that was worth $200 million. And so you have to be very responsible. But I feel like in a technical world, it's very doable, but start small and really learn and understand the technology before diving fully in.
so
Yeah.
right now, I have one basic question, then we'll turn it over to Kyle. First is how much right now one Bitcoin is worth, and then second, why is its value continuing to increase? I have heard stories that it's like a bubble that may burst.
And in the short term, it is a bubble. Even in 2017, some very well-regarded people said it is a bubble. It's gotta drop. And what happens is you have these cycles where you have the people that have been in it for long periods of time, the price increases, and then you get all this fresh new money, and they just start dumping it in. And then there's a lot of I guess, uneducated people in the market just thinking they can ride the roller coaster and it'll never go down. But then reality strikes, it's all supply and demand. It starts to crash. People that aren't in it for the long term start pulling their money. But
Mhm.
what you're going to see now in 2021 is these historical ups and downs that you saw over the last 3-4 year cycles. They're thinking it might go straight up to 200,000 this year because you see these big companies, institutional buyers. MicroStrategy is a public company. They just bought $700 million worth of Bitcoin instead of holding it in treasury reserves, which
Mhm.
get like 1% return. They said the Bitcoin's a safe bet. And even today, Harvard, Yale, University of Michigan, these big endowments are buying up Bitcoin with their endowment funds just to have an allocation in there, because all the stock to flow charts, which is just a technical term of what's driving this price for Bitcoin, the trends are saying that, I mean, it just can get ridiculously high in the millions of dollars in 5 to 7 years, based on this programmed algorithm and how it's really built to perform. And now that the reason I started putting a lot of money in this year is because of these big institutional buyers. We've created this network effect where it's got like $500 billion in market cap. It's like Facebook. There's not going to be another Facebook because it's already number one. There's no number twos when it comes to network effects. You've got Google, you've got Facebook. I mean, it's the same thing, and it's gotten past this point of no return where it's so ingrained in culture now. I just watched a documentary about people in Africa using Bitcoin because their government wouldn't allow them to buy electricity without prepaying for it, and they were able to fund it through nonprofits and Bitcoin. It's just pretty amazing. It's the internet of money.
For sure. Yeah.
Kyle, go ahead.
I've definitely seen the cryptocurrency explode in definitely the past 3 years. You know, you saw the all-time high of Bitcoin. What was it at the time? I think 17 or 19.
Yeah.
And now here we are, January 25th, 2021, and it's 32,600 a coin. You know, you read these stories, of course, you know, oh, this guy bought sushi 8 years ago with 10 Bitcoin and now it's worth, you know, $4 million. Well, yeah, you know, that sucks, bro. Like, sorry about your luck, you know, but it's unforeseen, you know. It's not, there's no real historical figures to go off of per se with cryptocurrency yet. I mean, you're literally talking less than a decade old virtually, you know, minus, you know, I mean, I believe Bitcoin was dropped in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. White paper on it was done in 2008 or 2007. Um, so of course the first few years, I mean, it did nothing virtually, you know, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. Then you saw the giant increases. Holy crap, it went up to 5,000. Holy crap, it went up to 9,000. And but when you're looking for historical figures, your close comparison is going to be the stock market, obviously. You know, the stock market has been around for, besides decades, generations. You know, our grandparents saw the stock market, our parents saw the stock market, we're watching the stock market. Well, it's just like anything else that's going to get, you know, it's a fad, it's going to go away. You know, the stock market is, it's not going to go away in the sense that there's not going to be a stock market, but there's not going to be a denominal paper currency that's going to run the stock market forever, because like you said, the government just prints money at their will. You know, can you imagine looking at the dollar and all of a sudden just overnight our dollar lost 35% of its value? People would go ape shit. They would lose their minds, you know? So there is the vulnerability aspect of Bitcoin is, yes, absolutely, your risk is phenomenal with Bitcoin. You know, I mean, just the other day when it started dropping, when it was at 42, I mean, I watched my wallet drop $3,800 in 3 days. I
Yeah.
mean, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" But you have to ride that kind of stuff out. You have to understand that it's so big now, it's not going to fail. So as long as you have that understanding, your money's in the bank. You just have to pay attention to how you're putting that money into it. You see all of these byproduct coins or altcoins that they like to call them, and those are all fine and well, and more power to them. But your obvious powerhouses are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum in itself, what, 600 something percent in the past year alone. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, Elon Musk would have golden cows, if he could produce numbers like that. Like, don't get me wrong, the Tesla stock in itself has rose immensely. More power to him. I think Elon Musk is doing a fantastic and phenomenal job with every business aspect that he puts his fingers in.
Yeah.
But you have this great new powerful idea of Bitcoin, and it's starting to catch. There's like, I was just looking at it, there's like 15 or 16,000 businesses in the United States that accept Bitcoin as a payment option. You know, Granted, that's not a whole lot considering there's tens of millions of businesses in the United States, but that's a pretty fair start considering that Bitcoin was ultimately meant to be a peer-to-peer transaction currency only. Decentralized, obviously, it completely eliminate the bank, which is understandable. Again, it's another fad that's going to go away. You're not going to have banks forever. Nobody wants banks forever. People are tired of watching their money go towards things that they have no knowledge of, or funding, or investments that they're not particularly fond of. And the fact that the bank gets to decide what it does with your money, that might have been okay 20, 30 years ago, but the new generation's not going to accept that. Plain and simple.
It's all about that self custody. People never thought they could take control of their finances like they can today. And that
Absolutely.
option, it's like the internet. People in 1999 said, "Oh, the internet's a fad. It's going to go away." Look at it now. You have a supercomputer in your pocket.
Yeah.
You can get internet in the middle of a desert. It's amazing how fast things change. And one really interesting and profound concept is exponential growth. Human beings can't understand, like, we went from a computer that took up an entire room in Stanford in the 70s, and now you've got your iPhone. And that happened in the span of 50 years. It'll happen even faster now because we're that much further along with technology.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it really makes you ponder the thought of, okay, well, this is what it's done in 10 years, like you said, exponential growth. What's going to happen in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
That 5 years is twice of what we've learned in the past 10 years of it. So it's enriching and it's enlightening for people in general. Like you said, it gives you 100% control of every single possible dollar that you want to have control of.
But it
So,
also comes with a lot of responsibility because you don't want to lose that wallet.
yeah,
Seed phrases
Absolutely.
either. Yeah, because you're not getting it
Absolutely.
back.
yeah.
You see those horror stories too. Guys have their wallets locked with encrypted keys, and X amount of time to get in it before it's destroyed. And it's just kind of one of those things, man. Like, you gotta pay attention to what you're doing. You
Exactly.
know, it's just numbers and letters that hold your millions. you know, you might want to write that number down somewhere. Get it tattooed if nothing else. I mean, come on. I just don't understand how you could be that careless with, say, $200 million and then be like, oh, it's all right. That's crazy to me. I mean, I've struggled putting the thousands that I've had in thus far. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I've got about 14 in Bitcoin and about 3 or 4 in Ethereum, and it's been bought in little by little over time. $500 here, $800 there. I think when I got my stimulus package the first time, I think I bought the whole thing, $1,200. And then, like I said, I watched it grow. I mean, I made $5,000 almost in past 7 months, and then I watched it kind of dwindle back down, dwindle back down, dwindle back down. But again, it's one of those things, like, it's not going anywhere, and you have to have that mindset. It's not going to drop to $0. It's just not physically possible.
And if you play the long game, you'll be very rich in 5 to 7 years. You
Oh,
just don't want to get
absolutely.
emotional and, oh shit, it's down 40%. I got to pull my money out. Because honestly, that's a buying opportunity. You're getting an asset at a 40% discount if you're keeping your
Yeah.
other stuff in there. Yeah.
And that's how I've been looking at it too. And when I do my purchases, if I see it drop 10%, I'll buy $500 more. Just because I'm not looking at it as, oh shit, I'm losing money. I'm looking at it as, hey, this is a better opportunity to recoup that money and make more.
Yep.
And people, that's one thing that I try to explain to people when I'm talking to them is, again, we're talking about a currency that's not really meant to be a currency yet. You can't look at it as, oh, okay, well, I have $6,000 in Bitcoin. I'm going to go spend $4,000 at the store. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to leave that $6,000 in Bitcoin alone, because at the end of the day, you're going to end up with $60,000 in Bitcoin.
You never want to sell.
No, never want to sell.
Use your dollars. Don't use your Bitcoin.
Straight up. I don't care how good the sushi is. Man, I feel for that guy, though. I really do. That's a horror story and a half.
So
Yeah.
Kyle, can you talk a bit about Ethereum, or what was that? Like you said, Bitcoin you have invested in, and then you said Ethereum.
Ethereum.
Ethereum, yeah. What is
Ethereum
that?
is Ethereum is just another cryptocurrency, but it's based off a completely different algorithm than what Bitcoin is based off of. So Bitcoin uses, well, all cryptocurrencies technically use this thing called a blockchain. A blockchain is basically the transfer of the process of whatever you're doing, the transaction of whatever you're doing. So that blockchain is basically your information tube from peer to peer. So when I make a transaction with you, I send you 1 Bitcoin. It uses the blockchain basically to pass from me to you. In the middle of that blockchain, there's what's called miners. Miners are the people that verify the transaction between you and me. So they're like, I don't know if you know anything about like Red Hat hacking or Linux or anything like that, but it's basically a man in the middle. Essentially is what a miner is, except they're not hacking anything, they're just verifying your transaction. And in doing so, they get a very, very, very minute percent of that transaction being processed from me to you. Basically, it's the same concept as if you're doing a wire transfer through a bank. Okay, they charge you $30, $40, whatever, X amount. Well, doing the transaction, it's so minuscule, it doesn't even really affect the transaction at all. I send you 2 Bitcoin and you're going to get 1.999999999 Bitcoin. It's so irrelevant that it doesn't even really matter on the relevant scale of what you're losing. I mean, I'm sure if you're sending $20 million in Bitcoin, probably paying a few tens of thousands of dollars in transaction fees, but at the same time, your transactions are guaranteed 100% person to person. There's no third party that it has to go through, and it's your currency. It doesn't sit in the bank's hands. That's the problem. I was having this problem the other day. I was trying to use my debit card. It was like a $7,000 transaction, kept getting denied. I had to call my bank and have them approve for me to spend more of my own money. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's my money, I'm going to spend it however I want to spend it. With cryptocurrency, that's the best part, is you get to spend it however you want to spend it, or save it however you want to save it. And it doesn't get dictated by people other than you what happens with that currency. You want to roll it into some other coin, roll it into some other coin. It's kind of like having stock options, but all your eggs are in one basket instead of trying to have like a diversified portfolio. And Ethereum is nice because their blockchain is like twice, probably 5 times of what the blockchain for Bitcoin is. Do I think Ethereum will ever be worth as much as Bitcoin? maybe half of what Bitcoin is right now, give or take. But the market cap for Ethereum is way, 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 way lower than the market cap for Bitcoin. So I'm not really sure how that's going to play out for Ethereum, but I also know that they're getting ready to do an Ethereum 2.0 drop. So I don't know what that all entails, or if that's even going to affect version 1 of Ethereum. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't done a whole lot of research on that yet, but and then I guess that was a question I had for you, Alex. So the program of Bitcoin is written. Okay, it's there. It's in black and white, 100% ready to go. What is to stop somebody from going in and changing that entire algorithm behind basically everybody's back per se, and completely change the entire dynamic of Bitcoin and the value of it?
So back when it was very early 2013, that was possible when it was thousands of developers. Because to change the code, you just need consensus, which is 51%. So that could have happened. Now you've got tens of millions of people, millions of developers working on Bitcoin. And to get 51% of them to all agree to do something that's not in the benefit of the entire Bitcoin community is extremely, extremely rare just to get that agreement. But then if you wanted to do something more hackerish or government control, you were talking about the mining and how those fees represent energy, electricity costs. You would need to spend like $300 billion in energy costs to manipulate all these computers to get that 51% consensus control and change it. And you're not even guaranteed that. So who's going to want to put up that much money to not have a 100% chance of hacking? And if you hack it, then it loses all its value and their Bitcoin's going to drop in value if an attack happened. So there's not really a point. The gains of hacking the system, first off, are almost nearly impossible to do. And second off, it would completely defeat the purpose because it would lose value instantaneously.
But what if I guess that poses my next question. What if that was the point, to just completely sabotage it? I mean, think about it. Nuclear war, okay, burn down the treasury, okay, melt all the gold, okay. Well, now you have a fourth of the entire world population that's getting involved in cryptocurrency. What better way to, do some damage?
I think if there's crazy people out there and if someone want to just burn the world for the sake of burning it, people want to do that and will do that.
For
But
sure.
the security is what you also mentioned, the sense that it's decentralized. How do you target all of these random computers and servers across the entire world systematically? And
Right.
there is inherent risk. I mean, something crazy could happen. Look what happened in 2020. I'm not saying that Bitcoin can't fail, but the bigger it gets, the stronger this network effect, the harder it is to take it down. So it's
Oh,
only
for sure.
every second it keeps getting stronger.
For sure. And it's going to get to the point where it's going to have the backing, like maybe not centralized backing or even fully government backing, but at some point it's going to have the same backing as New York Stock Exchange, for example. It's so big it can't fail. There's just, it's possible. I mean, of course, all those numbers could hit zero one day, and the world would probably come to an end for God knows. So I mean, obviously, the potential of it is there, but I just don't see I don't see the possibility of Bitcoin disappearing.
I see it becoming stronger than ever this year, especially because of that institutional money that's going into it. But also, you're seeing the government change their tune. So now you have places like Wyoming, which are creating initiatives, legislation to make it easier for people to start Bitcoin businesses out there, to store their Bitcoin out there. Kentucky's like subsidizing miners because China's mining it. We've got places like Iran's mining it. I mean, it's just this global attack on who can really take advantage of Bitcoin first. It's going to give them a lot of power. And so it'd be stupid for the government not to support it. So if you have corporations supporting it, the government supporting it, the people supporting it, I say it's sticking around too.
Yeah. And I mean, really, the only other person you kind of need supporting it would be Mr. Buffett.
But he's slow to he didn't think Apple was going to be a good stock. He was late to the game with Apple. He
Right,
doesn't get
right.
technology. He's older. He gets
Yeah,
airplanes. He gets oil, but technology is a young man's game.
yep, for sure. And it's a lot harder game. You know, oil is a guarantee. You know, technology changes weekly. Oil will be oil forever.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the scary part. That's what scares me the most. Like I'm taking two new classes right now at Rio Salado College out here. One of them is cyber ethics. And it talks about how people are getting to the point where everything changes so fast that people are getting comfortable with changing so fast, and it's doing like sociological damage, because where generations ago you used to be able to live in comfort, well, there's no comfort in going 500 miles an hour. Like there really isn't. I don't care who you are, nobody likes going that fast. But that's the only way you can keep up now. Things change and develop and grow so much and so fast. I mean, some stuff is overnight, instantaneously. It's just crazy. I mean, you see companies like eBay that have slowly over the years grown and evolved into this huge company. Amazon too, selling books. And now I don't think there's anything you can't buy off of Amazon. It's incredible what something so small can really become with just a little bit of push. And I really think that's where this crypto is going to end up in the next decade, and probably even sooner. You know, you want to talk about world peace? Okay, let's start with a worldwide currency that everybody accepts.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Since we can't agree on anything else as a world, let's start with that.
Because we've got it pretty good in America. We've never lived in Venezuela. We've never lived in Iraq where they can just take your money, or Gaurav in India where they devalued those rupee notes just like that overnight. And
Yeah.
people lost 80% of their money. That's the government just saying F you, and Bitcoin's F you back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Straight up. And you know what? It takes me back to, I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day about the Constitution, and the Constitution starts with we the people, man, and we've kind of lost sight of that over the years. But I think something like this gives that glint back in people's eyes that it's still we the people. We still have that control.
So Kyle, just to give you a flavor of what happened. So I was in US, but my parents were in India, and suddenly the Prime Minister of India goes to the stage and announces to the whole country, a country of 1.3 billion people, that we are going to stop accepting currency of lower value. So if you had a $5, so I'm not saying the Indian, like I'm using a dollar term here, um, although the currency there is rupees, but basically he said any 5 rupees or dollar or 10 rupees, 50 rupees, anybody, even it went all the way up till 100. Anybody who has currency from 5 rupees to 100 rupees, go ahead and deposit all that in the bank by this date, or it will be of no value. So a lot
What?
of people,
How is that even? How do you get away with that? Like,
yeah, he is the PM. He can, that's how it is in other countries. So there was a lot of chaos. A lot of people had a lot of smaller value currencies. They all stood in the line. There were long lines outside the bank. And then suddenly the bank puts a limit. We can only do up till 2000, not more than that, because they didn't have enough cash. So the ATM stopped working. Banks had to close their doors, and a lot of poor people lost a lot of money, and a lot of illegal people, their businesses were shut down because a lot of them, they were trying to do, convert black money into white money. So they had a lot of like unaccounted for money. That was actually his target. His target was to make all these illegal, black money folks, smugglers, terrorists. There was a lot of fake currency going on in India at that time. So a lot of our neighbors, they would get, fake currency. They would go and buy stuff, like they would have 100 rupees note, and they would say, I need 10 rupees worth of cold drink, like Pepsi. And the remaining 90 rupees was real currency, and they just got rid of the fake currency.
Right.
So there was a lot of fake currency going on. So his target was to eliminate all that. But in doing that, he basically ended up, like you guys were talking about, uh, hurting the common man, hurting the poor people. The rich people never have to face any issues. They did a lot of dealings with the bank people. They gave them some money and said, "Hey, we'll give you a percentage. Just make sure we get more cash in return for the lower value currency. Just save all that money for us, and we'll give you a percentage of that." So the rich people got away with it. The politicians got away with it. They had no problem. It's the common man who had so much issue. I had bunch of cash in smaller currency, and I couldn't do anything from here. I went to Chase, and I went to American Bank, and I said, "Hey, can you take this currency and give me dollars?" They said, "No, we are not
Wow.
dealing with that." So I lost a lot of money here. I used to keep Indian currency so that when I go back to India, I could use that, because there, dollar is not accepted. It's the rupees.
Right.
And I had like 5,000 worth rupees, and all that was basically trash.
So is it the same now, or has the economics picked back up and the rupee is worth a rupee again?
I would say right now, um, the currency has become stronger for sure. And the biggest hit was the illegal transactions, the fake currency, all that has vanished, like almost zero. So it did what the PM wanted to do. It met his goal. But a lot
But
of
the
the
damage in the process.
yeah, the damage in the process was way high. Actually, people thought he was going to lose the next elections because of it. That's
Wow.
how. That's how. Yeah, the opposition party made it a big political issue, and he almost lost the election. And then what happened was there was a terrorist attack. This guy is so lucky, Kyle, you won't believe it. The guy who is our PM is the luckiest guy on the planet. So
I'm
what
sure.
happened? Believe it or not, he was going to lose the elections because of this demonetization of the currency. Right a few months before the elections, there was a terrorist attack in which 50 soldiers were killed. And you know what he does? He basically does an undercover operation in the night and basically damages the whole terrorist base that no other PM had dared to do before him. And that whitewashed everything he did with demonetization. Now everybody became so patriotic. Oh, this guy knows how to hit back.
Right.
And there you go. He won the election. Otherwise, he would have guaranteed lost the elections because of demonetization. A lot of common people were pissed off with him, frustrated with him. They had all their savings were gone, because a lot of the poor. The other thing to note, guys, is in a lot of other countries, people don't have all the money in the bank. They don't even have bank accounts.
Right.
So they have these small reserve of money sitting in their homes or in a in a safe or somewhere, and it's all smaller currency because these poor people are daily wage people. They
Right.
don't get a paycheck. They get cash by working hourly. So they had this large reserve of small currency stacked in their house, or saved somewhere. They didn't have it in the bank, and a lot of those people suffered. But anyway, long story short, like you said, Kyle, and I think Alex, you mentioned, in order for us to be truly controlling our money, so we know where our money is going, and in order to have the financial freedom to spend our money where we want to, time has come that this new global currency becomes accepted, so that people have more power uh, through their own money. And the other question I had, guys, what do you think is going to happen when this cryptocurrency becomes more popular to things like social security, or a lot of the things that we can't control, like taxes? Like, these are the two topics that I always wonder about since I've come to America. Why can't I tell politicians how much social security they should take out from my paycheck? Who gave them the power to take out whatever they want from my paycheck without asking me?
Right.
You
I,
know?
I'm in I'm in complete agreement with that. The only justifiable reason that I can think of, and as far shot out as this sounds, 95% of people, excluding the infamous 1% of the rich, 95% of people are completely irresponsible with their money. Um, and I feel like that was kind of the government's way of reassuring you that it didn't really matter how irresponsible you are, we're still going to take care of you when it's time for you to retire.
Yeah.
um Whether that's right, wrong, logical, I guess it depends on how you want to look at it. But I am in complete agreement with you. Like, why do you get to say how much money comes out of my paycheck, and
Yeah.
for what?
Yeah.
Why don't I actually get to have a voice in the matter of how my tax dollars are realistically spent?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I get the right to vote for certain things, and whatever. But when it comes to brass tacks, I don't get to pick where my tax dollars go. What if I live in a shitty city that has bad schools, and I prefer 90% of my tax dollars to go to the school system? You
Hmm.
know, let the state government worry about everything else. Let the people decide where their money goes. But again, it kind of comes back to the fact of not being 100% responsible. Politicians are politicians for a reason.
Yeah.
We sit back and we say, oh, I could do such a better job, and blah 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 blah. Unfortunately, fact of the matter is we probably couldn't, and we would probably be the laughing stock of any political party that we tried to represent on our behalf and our beliefs.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, things are done for a reason, whether we like them or not. And taxes and social security and stuff like that, it all comes back to the government controlling things. The government has control issues, especially our government. Maybe not necessarily over its people like some third world countries would per se, but anything the government doesn't control, the government doesn't like. Even if it's its own citizens.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. If you're an American citizen and you have a social security number, the government owns you.
Yeah.
You are a glorified socialist. You have a social security number. You
Hmm.
know, and I hate to be brutally honest to some people when they say, "Oh, socialism, blah 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 blah." Well, guess what? You're an American. You have a social security number. You're the biggest socialist on the country or
Hmm.
on the planet.
Yeah.
uh, and it's nothing you can do about it except move. We may not be deemed a socialistic country where we have a democracy. We have our government, we have our Senate, we have our Congress, we have all those people, but we're still controlled by the government no matter how you look at it. We have a lot more freedoms than most people. Look in the United Kingdom with the way they have CCTV set up, China, the
Hmm.
way they have CCTV set up, facial recognition. Dude, if they started doing that stuff in America, people would lose their minds. And not saying that they don't already do stuff like that, because we know damn well that they do. The government's the most shadiest people you've ever met, and they're gonna do whatever they want to do, whether you like it or not. But if the government doesn't control it, the government doesn't like it. And not to jump back to the cryptocurrency topic, but you've already seen the government try to get involved numerous times and starting to figure out how they're going to get their fingers involved in cryptocurrency. Last year, 2020, the IRS passed a new law that you are now legally required to claim all of your cryptocurrency wallets. Doesn't matter how much money you made, how much money you lost, how much money you put in, you have to claim that. Why? Why do I have to claim that with my government that has no control over my cryptocurrency value whatsoever? That just blows my mind.
Mhm.
You know, when I talk to my CPA and do my taxes this year, you think I'm handing over those documents? Absolutely not. You know, you have no reason to know what my finances are that have nothing to do with this country. I didn't make that money in this country. I made it in a basically a make-believe world. You know, you have no rhyme or reason to tax that dollar for any purpose whatsoever other than the glorified fact that you feel you deserve a piece of it. And I'm sorry, but I completely disagree with you on that. You know, you already get so much money out of every single person that pays taxes in this country. It's sickening anyway. Now you want to take more from me? Nah, that's just not going to happen. You know, I refuse to be a part of that. I really do. You know, that's straight liberal way of thinking, and I'm sorry, but I will not be part of a liberal society. I just won't do it.
And you could
So,
just say you lost your wallet. They couldn't prove it. Oh, I lost it. My Bitcoin's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah,
But you have it up here, and they can't get to that.
straight up. And that's what they get so upset about, is because they know that they have real no control over it.
yeah.
You can't break into that system and be like, oh well, guess what? We just found $8,000 you didn't claim. No, you didn't. How you can't find that information out? You know, yeah, it's, you know, Gore said at the beginning of this, like, you know, most people are under the impression that it's untraceable,
Mhm.
and they can't do anything with it as far as watching where it goes or anything. That's a total misconception.
Mhm.
um in the beginning, absolutely. The first probably 5 years of cryptocurrency and the way exchanges were done, absolutely, they were bulletproof. Now everything's been set into place that it's not bulletproof anymore. It takes a lot more to figure it out. Your everyday person's not just going to hop on their computer and be like, oh, okay, well, I seen what you did in your crypto wallet, 49 days ago. It's not going to work like that. But again, it's the government. You know, what we might think would be a cool idea, the government's already thought about, produced it, and on to the next idea. So there's ways that they're gonna know, but you're not gonna get it from me. I'm not gonna voluntarily hand it over to you. Let me see your extra earned income for the year, buddy. You know what I mean?
The head of the Fed, she just came out, and this is I got mad hearing her say this. Now they're considering, because they're so desperate, they can't lower interest rates any lower. They're practically at zero. And if you go negative, that's just like you're losing money by keeping it in bonds. So they're like trying to figure out ways to get more money. And Janet Yellen, the leader of the Fed, goes, we're considering taxing unrealized gains. So money that you haven't cashed out, they're saying we could tax that, which has never been done before, which is just complete ludicrous. It makes you not want to invest. Why would you want to invest if they're going to tax you on your stock goes up 20%? Okay, we get 5% of that. You don't get taxed on unrealized losses. Like they're
Right.
only getting the benefit.
Yeah, and it's no different than, you know, what, 1930s, prohibition, 20s, 30s, prohibition, same thing. Government wanted to figure out a way to get their dollar out of it, and they couldn't figure it out, so they just eliminated it. They said, fine, we can't make money off of it, we're going to get rid of it. And then they realized, well, wait a minute, that's not going to work exactly, because we have the possibility of making millions off of this. So we need to rethink our approach here to this. And that's what they're doing, the same thing with this now, unrealized gains, unrealized losses. You're not going to tax me on something that I don't know how much money I've made or what I've lost.
Yeah.
You're not going to tax me on the $5,000 that I have invested in crypto, because I was already taxed saving up that $5,000 to put in crypto. It's so far out there, the way the government is trying to perceive this. And the sad part is, give it a couple years and it'll probably be pushed through. There will be some centralization that happens with cryptocurrency, to where you are put in a position that you're forced to pay taxes on it. And it sucks. And it may not be in the next couple of years. It might be in the next 5 to 10 years. Who knows? And I hope the people that have been in it ride it out, make their millions, and get out before the government destroys it.
Well, the great thing about it is that you can transfer it so easily. So if the US says, hey, we're going to start taxing you, everyone that has crypto now can put it into the equivalent of a digital Swiss bank account. Because
Right.
some country will be like, we'll take your money and we won't tax you at all.
Right. Right. Or we'll take 1% off the top and not tax you, period. And we'll make sure that
Yeah.
you don't get a 1099 at the end of the year from us.
As long as you have a smartphone, you have a bank account. Which,
Oh, for
like
sure.
you said, Gaurav, in India, these people don't have bank accounts. These people in Africa, Asia don't have bank accounts. Well, 80% of them have smartphones and internet's everywhere. So they essentially do have bank accounts. It's just not the traditional one.
Right.
Probably
Right.
better that way.
And for I could see even in places like India, that's not considered a third world country, but definitely not at the top of what you would think of as like an American style country. Um, a lot of people don't have that ability or even mindset to want to bank. Especially after like we were just talking about the issue where they demonetize the value of the rupee. If they were to ever demonetize the value of a dollar in the United States, banks would.
I think his internet is slow outside his home.
We lost him.
So Alex, we might have to edit this video because we are talking a lot of government stuff.
We don't have to post it. We could do another one that's not so anti-government. But I
Yeah.
think it was fun conversation.
Yeah, and he's very knowledgeable and he applies his knowledge
Yeah, I've had fun talking with him.
to actually doing what he's believes in. Like he will just do it right away if he knows what he's doing is right.
Well, maybe we could keep it off the record. Maybe we could do like the book club idea where we're just talking and it doesn't have to be posted because I feel like this is really important stuff.
Yeah, or we could just edit and pick small chunks of it, which which don't involve anything risky. Kyle, you're back.
Sorry about that.
So as a next step, Kyle, we had a very, I would say, exciting conversation today. Alex and I were talking about, and we are glad that you are with us in this call. We learned a lot from you as well. Would you like to join us in subsequent calls? So, Alex, can we organize another one where we have the more in-depth discussion on the mining topic?
Yeah, so I'm not going to be the best person to talk about mining. I could get a guy that he mined back in the day.
Yeah, that's what we want. So if you can get that guy, I think he has 4 years plus experience mining, Bitcoins. And he knows a lot about blockchain and things like that Kyle also knows. But let's connect on that topic in near future. So you let me know and I'll let Kyle know, and then we can all get together. And Kyle, we will make some edits to this video because we don't want you or us to get into trouble because
For
we were
sure.
talking about what's wrong with the government, and at the end of the day we are all under the radar of the government.
Right.
So
Right. We love our government.
yeah, we love you. US government is the greatest on the planet.
Yeah, for sure. Please don't come kick my door in.
Yeah. So we will update you. We'll send you a YouTube link of today's video.
Yeah, I'll
It's
send it to you, Gaurav.
okay. Yeah,
It'll
Alex
take
will
a
send
few
it.
minutes for it to process.
Yeah, and then we'll let you know when we have a follow-up call. But before we let you go, did you have any other questions or anything you wanted to share? And then we can wrap it up.
No, not at all, man. It's been awesome chopping it up with you guys. Alex, it's nice to meet you, man. I look forward to future conversations for sure.
Me too. This is a really fun subject. It's just bigger than making money. There's so much education that you gain from it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the money is the benefit. You know, the knowledge is priceless, but the process is you know, indispensable. I mean, what the theory and logic behind it will last forever. You know, it just has to get the traction that it needs, and I think it's getting there. You know,
Well,
Yes.
so
awesome. Good talking with
absolutely,
both of you guys.
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
for sure.
Kyle, Alex also knows a lot about cooking. If you want to talk about that, he's an expert.
That's what I'm
Expert.
getting down. I have to go downstairs. They're cooking steaks for dinner.
Yeah. That's
Nice.
what we don't want to keep him long here because he has another hobby to work on, which is cooking. All right, cool.
Awesome,
So
guys.
thanks, Kyle, for your time, and thanks, Alex, for your time. Let's set up another follow-up call, and if you could share the video recording, that would be great, Alex. Thank you.
I will. I'll email that to you tonight.
All right.
All right.
All
Bye.
right, guys. Bye.
Take care.